For years, I taught junior church, and we asked a bunch of the kids from the church to come here today to have a crowd while we did some of these magic tricks. I'm going to show you a whole variety of illustrations, magic tricks, things that I've done for years in teaching school or in teaching junior church or Sunday school, and I'm going to show you how to do it on this tape. Now, I teach a lot of people how to do my tricks on the condition that they will use it to win other people to the Lord. That's the motive. The purpose of gospel illusions and magic tricks is to help folks come to the Lord. All I do is I do these things, get a crowd of kids together, and it's, well, how'd you do that? And once you can win them over that way. It's a great tool. For instance, the rope trick. Start off with an ordinary rope, which you can buy at any hardware store. Make sure the rope has two ends on it. Most of them do. Okay? You put the left one over the right one, loop it around, and make a knot in the rope. Then you adjust your Adam's apple like this. And you can pull the rope under the hyoid bone, under the larynx, through the sternocleidomastoid, above the seventh cervical, and below the first thoracic. And you can, above the first thoracic, you can pull the rope, do this right, all the way through your neck. And end up with a knot in the rope. How did you do that? I'm going to show you how that's done. I will start off a lot of my seminars when I speak on dinosaurs and creation, evolution, especially if I go to a Christian school. I start off with that trick and show people how easy it is to get tricked. The devil is tricking us. He's lying to us. He wants you to think the world is billions of years old, and it is not. He wants you to think dinosaurs lived millions of years ago, and they did not. Dinosaurs always lived with man, and that's what I cover in my seminar. But if you want to do the rope trick, start with ordinary rope. It is much better if you have a tie on, or a collar, a shirt that buttons up to the neck. Because if you put the rope around your neck like this, left side over the right side, and pull real hard, you will kill yourself. Okay? So you don't want to do that. What you do when nobody's looking, find the middle of the rope, tuck it down in your collar, up both sides, and it simply looks like it's around my neck, but it is not. It's already in front of me. So with the collar on there, it helps hold it tight against your shirt. A little bit showing there. Okay, you got to make sure it's not showing. As you pull, I shrug my shoulders just a little bit, and it's enough to hold it in. And it'll pull in on the skin and make your face turn red and the whole thing. It looks like you're pulling it to your neck, but actually it's just coming out from under your collar with the rope in there. Very simple trick. All of the tricks are simple that anybody can do with a little practice. Regular quarter-inch, real flexible, soft nylon rope. I've got my tricks divided up into a variety of categories here. The rope tricks. For instance, here's a good one you can use. Get 3 ropes. A short one, a medium one, and a long one. And I tell lots of stories with these tricks, and the purpose of this tape is to show you more how to do it, and you can make up whatever stories you want to make up. There are 3 basic kinds of people in the world. Some people have a very short list of things they have done wrong. They're really good people. Some people are average. They've got an average list. You know, they do their share of bad things. And then some people have a long list of things they've done wrong. There's always one kid in every class who's always getting in trouble. If there's a disturbance in class, the teacher knows right where to look right away. How many of you are that kid in your class? Several of you, okay? Right. Or you don't. Well, see, we tend to look at each other and think, well, I'm better than that guy, or I'm better than that girl. That may be. You may be better than somebody, but in God's eyes, it looks a lot different. We classify people, good, bad, and terrible, right? God says, you're all the same in my sight. So I'm going to put the long one up here. I'm going to get all the ropes even on top, and I'm going to need a volunteer who has extremely bad breath. Someone who's not brushed their teeth for at least 3 weeks. Okay? Who do we have here? Who hasn't brushed their teeth? You? Come on, hurry. You got it down. Okay, come on up here. Put the small one up here. And what is your name? She forgot. Robin. Okay, Robin, I'd like you to blow on this and see if you can make them all the same length. Come on, just blow on it. That'll work, folks. That will work. Now, if we've done this right, Robin, you should make all the ropes the same length. Push them out, the bug will fly in there. So we have 1, 2, 3, all the same length. Now, let's see if your bad breath can reverse them back the way they used to be. Because we don't want to leave my ropes all messed up like this. Okay, blow on that one more time. Oh, that'll work out. And we have the short one, the medium one, and the long one. And notice my fingers never left my hand at any time during any of these tricks. Okay? You like to see how to do that? All right, thank you, man. Have a seat, and I'll show everybody how to do this one. The ropes are cut and melted on the ends, regular in a ratio of 1 to 2 to 3, 10, 20, and 30, or 8, 16, 24. I put the little one in my hand first. Then the medium one, and then the long one is out toward the tip of my fingers. I grab the long one first, and when I put it up in my hand, I put it up toward the outside, toward my fingertips. When I grab the medium one, I put it up toward the outside, and I try to get people's attention focused on, I'll say now, I've got to make sure the ropes are exactly the same length. And while I'm doing this, I'm reaching through here, through the long one, to grab the small one. That's all there is to the trick. When you grab the end of the small one, reach through the loop of the big one. And you put it, instead of at the outside, I put it back in position number 3. 1, 2, 3. So I move my thumb over. I now have the short one, the medium one, the short one again, the long one, the medium one, or the long one, and the medium one. Anyway, got it. When I grab these outer 3 and pull it down, the long one is looped over the short one. So they look, of course you keep that hidden, they look like they're all the same length. Now the middle one is actually the medium-sized rope. So when I told Robin I was going to show her the ropes, I said there's one, I grabbed the middle one and slid it out. 1, and then I swap. I put this back and swapped and grabbed the other 2, keeping this hidden. 2, 3, all the same length. So then you just keep that in place where they're looped over, hidden every time. And then when you put them back, all the same length, you just grab one, and whichever one comes out, you say, here we have the medium one. You never know what you're going to get. Here we have the long one, and here we have the short one. So a very, very simple trick you can do with 3 ropes, and you can mesmerize the kids. Other rope tricks. Rope through the fingers. You know, one of the devil's favorite tricks for boys and girls is to get them tied up with bad habits. He likes to get you to have bad habits, especially when you're little. Maybe you got the bad habit. Now, I got the rope over my thumb. Focus in on it there, bud. Just hanging down both sides. I use about a 5 or 6 foot length of rope. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to reach through underneath the first one, throw it from the palm of my hand, reach through and grab the rope, pull it back, half twist, and put it over my finger. The devil likes to get you to have bad habits, like maybe, let me start over here with this now. Maybe it's a bad habit of cheating in school. The first time you cheat in school, it kind of bothers you. But after you've cheated for a while, pretty soon you get used to it, you get good at it, and then pretty soon, the devil's got you hooked, man. You can't quit. He's got you tied into a bad habit. He loves getting boys and girls to have bad habits when they're young. Then I go under this finger, do this one. Maybe it's a bad habit of saying bad words. First time you do it, it kind of bothers you, it hurts your conscience, and man, you feel bad. But after a while, you get good at it, and pretty soon, he's got you trapped. You're saying bad words all the time. Maybe it's a bad habit of telling dirty jokes or dirty stories or reading dirty books. Who knows, You get some kind of bad habit. Maybe it's disobeying your parents. You can make up whatever habits are age appropriate for the group you're trying to teach, Whatever thing that age kid does. I mean, if it's, the 3-year-olds, you don't want to talk about adultery and fornication to 3-year-olds. They release my index finger, the rope is actually already off of the thumb. I untied it before I put my finger on there. So it's actually just going to slide around the outside. You reach over with your middle finger, pull it back, up with your first finger, twist it over again, and then when you put your index finger on top, it's already off. It's a very simple trick. Thank you, sir. You may have a seat. Take your brother with you there. All right. Now we need another volunteer. How about that boy right there? Okay, right there. You'll do. Anyway, who wants to volunteer? We're going to show you. Come on, let's go. I need a boy to volunteer. Okay, what's your name? Jacob. How old are you, Jacob? 8. Jacob is going to show us the idiot handcuffs. I want you to notice this rope has two heads on it, right? When I go like this, you can make idiot handcuffs just that quick. Want to see that again? Okay, all you do, start with the rope. Notice my fingers never leave my hand at any time during this trick. All you do, go like this, put your hands in here. I'm going to pull these two ropes like this. Now turn around and put your hands on your face, okay? I'm going to tie it back here behind him. Now, the reason we call this idiot handcuffs is because anybody dumb enough to let you tie him up like this has got to be an idiot, right? Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate that. I'll better let him out here, didn't I? All right, take that off. Let's give him a hand here. That always helps. With just the length of rope, there are literally hundreds of tricks you can do. I'll just show you a few. But what you do for this one is very simple. Zoom in as close as you can there, bud. Get just the hands here. I got the rope hanging from both sides, about 16 inches between them. As I bring my hands together, I'm going to turn this hand toward me and this hand away from me. One toward me, one away from me, so that I'm actually from the side making a loop, okay? Then with this hand, I'm going to reach through that loop and grab this loose end over here. And with my right hand, I'm going to grab the loose end from the left. So actually, in slow motion, what it amounts to is, I got these fingers underneath, ready to grab, and these fingers underneath, ready to grab. As I bring it around, I grab opposite sides and pull it out. It takes a little practice to get that one, but it's really not that tough. You just are making a quick bow. You twist it toward you and away from you at the same time, grab the opposite sides, and pull it out into a bow. And you can make up a story about the devil's handcuffs, how people walk up and let the devil get them tied up with bad habits. They buy the cigarettes so they can smoke them, so they can get addicted, so they can die of cancer, and they let the devil tie them up with handcuffs. That's dumb, okay? That's not smart at all. Okay, rope tricks. Let's try some coin tricks here. Andrew, focus in down there on the lower part. Coin tricks. I have on the table here 12 quarters. I have the quarters set up so they are heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, alternating the whole grid, the whole pattern alternates. The story is you have to change this row so it's heads, 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 and this row so it's tails, 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 and this one heads, heads, heads. In other words, you have to fix every row, but you can only touch one coin. You can only touch one coin, period, and with that you have to fix all the rows. And you let people stew on that one for a while and say it can't be done. You know, if I fix this one, I get everything set back up here. If I fix that one, that fixed one row, but that didn't fix the other 3 rows, and so that can't be the right solution. But the way you do this, by only touching one coin, you can fix all the rows by grabbing this coin, moving it around, and sliding the middle row up. And I now fix all the rows by only touching one coin. That's a good one you can do. Another one you can do while we're here on the table. If you have 6 coins, you tell the kids you want them to, I'll put them all on heads, it really makes no difference, but you make a little cross out of the coins, 4 and 3. And you tell them you can only move one coin, and I want you to put 4 quarters in both rows at the same time. I got 4 in this row and 3 in this row, or I can put it here where I got 4 and 3, but I want you to have 4 and 4 at the same time, and you can't add any more quarters. Only with what you've got. You got to have 4 in each row. And of course the solution is to pick up one of them and move it to the center. And now you have 4 in each row. And very few folks ever think of that. Okay, while you're zoomed down there, let's see if this shiny one picks up good enough. Get my hand in here. This one is a simple one to learn. With a little practice, you can mesmerize folks like crazy with this one. The quarter is on heads. When you flip it over, it is still on heads. Flip it back, it is is still on heads. I can make the quarter heads, 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 as long as I want. I can do two of them. This one's heads and this one's heads. When I flip them over, one will be heads and one will be tails. Heads and tails. If you want to make them both the same, heads and heads. If you want to keep them both heads and heads, they're both on heads, flip it over and they're still both on heads. Very simple science trick using inertia. When you turn your hand, if you get the quarter on the side toward your little finger, and I keep my other hand down below it, not even with it, but down below it. As I turn my hand, I will turn out from under it fast enough that my hand actually comes out from under the quarter and then slaps it straight down. It's on heads, it's still on heads. Whereas if the quarter is on the side by my thumb, as I turn my hand, the quarter will go over with it. So if I have them both on heads, and I'd like one heads and one tails, I put one toward the little finger and one toward the thumb. This one will flip over to tails and this one will stay on heads if you do it quick enough. And you have to drop them down into your hand. If you want them both to stay heads, I put them both lined up on my little finger. And my hand will pull out from under them and they both stay on heads. Just a little inertia trick. A lot of times I'll use that to get some kids together to be able to witness to them. You know, I'll say, hey, I'll take my, ever see a quarter with heads on both sides? I'll say heads, 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 do it a few times, and then I'll do it into their hand. Here, hold your hand up here. What's your name? Abby? There you go, heads. Oh, wait a minute, we broke it here. Heads, heads, now you try it. Tails. She broke my quarter, all right? You can practice that one when you get home. All right, bud, focus up here a little bit. This is another one you can try with 3 coins. This takes just a little practice. You put the coin on the back of your hand, or you can do it with a little rock or anything, an M&M or something. You throw the coin up in the air and catch it with your hand facing down. No problem, right? You can't turn your hand over. Let's see, we need to zoom out a little bit there, bud. Okay. You toss it up and catch it. Then you do 2 of them. Put the second one on there. When you toss it up, I'm going to catch this one first, and then I'm going to catch this one. Okay, catch the first one. And again, it uses inertia. When you catch it, bring your hand back, and as you bring your hand forward, it'll stay in there for a moment, just because your hand is moving forward while you grab the next one. And then with a little practice, let's see, can you zoom back any further, bud? You're not getting enough time. There you go. You can do 3. Catch the first one, catch the second one, catch the third one. And it takes a little practice, and you can get 4 is the most I've ever got. I suppose you can do more. The secret to this trick is, after you grab the first one, hurry and grab the other 2 before they fall. Okay? That's the whole secret to that coin trick. All right, back up here. See what other kind of tricks we got. And you can use these for a junior church or anything else. Of course, the coins off the elbow is a very easy one. Anybody can do this one. You put coins or rocks or something on your elbow. As you move your hand down, you can grab the coin. Oh, there's no trick to it at all. It just uses inertia. As I move my elbow out from under it real fast, the quarter will tend to stay there floating in the air for just a moment, and my hand can come around and grab it right out of the air on the way down. You can do it with a whole stack of quarters, or pennies, or nickels, or dimes, or whatever you can afford. It doesn't matter. They're all going to stay there together. We're going to stack up all 12 of the quarters here and see if we can get it to work. I think 42 or 52 or something pennies is the most I've ever done at one time, because pretty soon your hand starts to get full. But you put a stack of quarters up there. The only secret is, as your hand comes around, you got to turn it over to make sure your palm of your hand is coming out. And it's no problem. You can practice that one when you get home. And that'll mesmerize the kids. Okay, coin tricks. Let's try paper tricks. While we're down there, I'll tell you, we'll do these around the board first. These are some tricks, maybe a little more for the advanced older kids, but a man had a piece of property, a square piece of property, like I show here on the board. He sold this square piece of property to his sons, but before he sold it, he was going to give it to his sons, he sold 1/4 of the property. So cut out 1 square. He had an L-shaped piece of property left. He told his 4 sons, he said, you can have the property if you can figure out a way to divide it into pieces that are equal size and equal shape. Well, of course, it's very easy to divide this property into sold off the top half. So he ended up with the bottom half of an equilateral triangle. He told the same story. He told his 4 sons they could have the property if they could divide it into pieces that are equal size and equal shape. And it's a little more difficult. Of course, it's very easy to divide this into 3, but to divide it into 4 equal pieces is considerably more complex. Again, the solution lies in dividing it up, and then we're going to divide it in half and divide into smaller triangles. And the solution lies along those lines. And we'll do it in red. We have this property, and these 2 outside pieces. So after they've solved or not solved those 2 problems, you give them this one. This man had a square piece of property. He didn't sell any of it, just a square property. And when he died, he left in his will that he wanted the property divided between his 5 sons. Equal size, equal shape. And you let them stew on that one for a while, and they worry about it. Of course, they'll think it can't be done because they try dividing it up into all sorts of different ways. You divide it down, you divide it down, you divide it down. Actually, the solution is the simplest of all. 5 sons, equal size, equal shape. No problem. Long, skinny strip. All right, let's do the ticket to heaven. Can Andrew down here? And we'll try this. Everybody really enjoys this trick. Zoom out just a little so you can get part of me in there. And the ticket to heaven. Take a regular piece of notebook paper, fold it up, fold it in half. Then fold down one corner like you're going to make an airplane. Don't crease it though. All you want to do is establish where this point is, where it would have come out had you creased it. And I want to fold it over at that point. Very simple to fold up. Now I'm going to fold the 2 edges in like an airplane. And you're ready to tell the story. This is a great story for gospel illustrations. Fold it in half. This is the ticket to heaven. And the story goes that 2 kids rode the bus to Sunday school. George and Sam. We'll make up some names here. George asked Jesus to come into his heart and save him. Can anyone bring it up? There we go. Okay. George asked Jesus to come into his heart and save him. Sam didn't. Sam didn't want to get saved. So the Sunday school teacher made a piece of paper like this and gave it to George and said, George, this is to remind you now that you're going to heaven. You're saved. You're going to heaven. So George stuck it in his pocket. And they're on the bus, riding home on the bus, and Sam said, hey, George, what do you got there? And George said, this is my ticket to heaven. I'm going to heaven now because I asked Jesus to come into my heart. And Sam said, I'm not going. He said, I didn't get saved today. He said, look, George, could I have part of your ticket so maybe I could go to heaven too? Well, George said, I don't think that'll help, but I'll give you part of my ticket. So he tears 1/3 off of the small end. And he gives it to Sam. George sticks it back in his pocket. Well, Sam got thinking about that. He said, I've been an awfully bad boy. I don't think that little piece of paper is enough to get me to heaven. He said, I better see if I can get a little bit more. So he went back to see George. He said, hey, George, look, could I have some more ticket, please? And George, being a good Christian now, said, sure, I'll give you half what I got left. So he tore the paper in half. Gave it to Sam. Well, Sam thought he's going to heaven now because he had a ticket to heaven. There's an awful lot of people that got a piece of paper and they think that's going to take them to heaven. Maybe they've been baptized or catechized or pasteurized or homogenized or something. And they think they're going to heaven now because they got a piece of paper, they're a church member or something. Well, Sam trusted that all his life. He died, he went up to heaven, knocked on the door, said, hey, Peter, let me in. I got my ticket right here. And Peter said, no, you don't get in here with the ticket, Sam. Let me see what you got there. Now, Peter's pretty smart. So Peter took all Sam's papers and he said, let me see. Oh, looks like all you got is a bunch of pieces of paper. That's all I see out of this. But as he began looking at them, Peter began to realize Sam did have a ticket. He said, Sam, I believe you've got a ticket here, bud. Let me see. Yep, Sam, you sure do. You got a ticket, all right, bud. You got a ticket to hell. You never got saved, did you? Well, George died. George went up to heaven, knocked on the door. The Lord said, Peter said, yes, George, can I help you? He said, I'm ready to get into heaven, Lord. I got my ticket right here. And Peter said, you don't get into heaven with a ticket. You know that. And George said, I know. I'm really trusting in the cross and what Jesus did for me. And that's how you go to heaven. Without the cross, you're not these pieces of paper, you can tell numerous stories. You can rearrange these to spell the word, for instance, L-I, fold this one in half, L-I-F-E, life. You can talk about eternal life. You can talk about hiding your candle under a bushel. How you shouldn't hide your candle under a bushel. You should put your candle on top of the bushel where everybody can see. You know, just use your imagination. And I saw in a book someplace about 12 different stories to tell just with this one piece of paper, tearing it up into these little pieces. Okay, so that's the ticket to heaven one. Let's see what's next here. Oh, yes. Chemistry. You know, the way people react when something happens to their life. How many have ever had a problem? Some problem came in your life. Something went wrong. You ever had a problem? Maybe somebody else got a new bike for Christmas and you didn't get a new bike. Right? You ever had that problem? The way you react to problems might be very different. I'm going to show you how some different folks react to problems here. This is a box of problems. Everybody has problems, but how you react is very different. So we're going to bring some problems into this fellow's life right here. He is about to have some problems. When he reacts to problems differently, though, when something bad happens to him, he gets discouraged. That's the way some people react. We're going to put a few problems in this guy's life. This is going to be Jim. Now Jim gets envious. He wishes he got the new bike. Man, I wish I would have got it. Here's Jim. Problems come into his life, and he turns green with envy instantly. Is that the way you react? Get envious? Ooh, wow, I wish they would have happened to me. Well, that's not a good way to react. Other people get the same kind of problems come into their life. Let's put a few problems in this fellow's life here. Let's see how he reacts. Problems come into his life, and he gets jealous or scared, turns yellow. Oh man, I'm going to run away from my problems. Some people react by running away, turn yellow. Same problems, different reaction. And then we got old Bill. Old Bill, he's the one that he gets blue. Man, when problems come into his life, bring the problems into Bill's life, and his first reaction is turn blue. Wow, Brother Hovind. And then some people are like Randy. Boy, when problems come into Randy's life, you know what Randy does? If he doesn't get his way, he not only gets angry, he blows up. That's the way some folks react, isn't it? Explode when they don't get their way. Oh, Randy, that's the way he does it. And then, other people are like old Perfect Pete here. Perfect Pete, problems come into his life. You know what he does with problems? Zoom in there, bud, too far away. When Pete gets problems in his life, he just takes them right in. Says, well, okay, Lord, I guess that's from you. See, everybody has the same problems, but how you react to the problems is very different. Now, if you want to do this trick, it's very simple. You have 5 spoons in the tray. Get a tray with a little edge on it so that people can't quite see what's in there. Each of the spoons, 4 of the spoons have several drops of food coloring on them. Red, yellow, blue, and green. It's already on the spoon, all right? The box of baking soda, of course, Notice how quiet it is. Everybody, when they see somebody start to blow up a balloon, they all get quiet. I don't know why it is, but it works every time. Sunday school teacher, when you're teaching your lesson, have a balloon. It may have nothing to do with the lesson. You may never use it in the lesson. But if you walk around, when the kids start to get a little rowdy, here you are telling your lesson, and the kids are starting to talk, just go. And start teaching the lesson again. And they'll all be staring at you. It's incredible. But just a balloon will do, okay? But I've got a whole bunch of balloons in here. One of the things we can learn from balloons, I went to the store today and bought some really, really colorful balloons. Red, dark red, orange. A lot of lessons you can learn from balloons. Let me make sure I stay in order here. You can take a needle and actually put it inside a balloon if you do this right. The secret to putting a needle in a balloon is go through the place where the rubber's extra thick. Get it wet. Take a regular old sewing needle and make sure the sewing needle is wet and clean. If it's an old rusty one, the edges of it will be rough enough that it will tear the balloon. Once the balloon begins to tear, it'll fall apart. But about 80 or 90% of the time, you can actually stick a needle into a balloon and roll it around in there and extract it again. It may blow up on me first time here. If the balloon is not fully inflated, you can get it to go in. There's the needle sticking up out of the top of the balloon. I'm going to drop it down inside. And I now have a needle rolling around inside the balloon. But I have a little hole. I got to keep my finger over it or the balloon will gradually go down because the air is coming out that little hole. I could Scotch tape it and it would last a long time. Now to extract it, I'm going to get it near that place again. I'm going to try to grab the needle through the balloon. Ooh, I had it sticking out the hole and lost it. Well, with a little practice, the value of this trick is yet to be determined. Nobody sees any use whatsoever for this one except to mesmerize kids to think, wow, that is neat. Okay, come on, needle, get out of there. And now we have the needle coming back out of the balloon. So you can do it if you do it in the thick rubber part, and of course the kids will be mesmerized by that one. That's the needle in the balloon trick. We're going to try thick air. Where is my glass? Oh, here it is. I have, right here, a glass of thick air. Now, thick air is different from thin air because thick air is thicker. Thick air will not leak out of a balloon. You can blow it into a balloon and you don't even need to tie the balloon. First, you take a breath of thick air. I must tell you before I do this, you have to blow up, not down. Because thick air works best if you blow up into the balloon, not down into the balloon. I don't know why, but it just works. And if you add regular air, it all destroys the whole thing. So I'm going to get thick air. Ready? And you don't even need to tie it. You just release it and nothing happens with thick air. Now, if you add regular air to a balloon, as soon as you put regular air with thick air, it all falls apart. And it all comes back out. It's just amazing the way thick air works. Now, if you'd like to learn how to do the thick air trick, of course, you simply put a marble in the balloon first. And get a dark colored balloon so it doesn't show, and when you blow up, the marble keeps the hole plugged. Then it won't come out. And when you blow down, you're simply releasing the marble. There. And that's all there is to it with the thick air. Last one with balloons, and there are all kinds of tricks you can do with balloons. You can teach kids about, the Bible says, let everything that hath breath praise the Lord. I've got praise the Lord written on this balloon, but you can hardly see it. You zoom in and focus on that, but praise the Lord. Man, it's just very difficult to see. But you know, when you add a little bit to it, let everything that hath breath praise the Lord. has successfully melted the pin. Of course, all it is, you hold the pin with about 80% of the weight on one side, very loosely, and instead of moving your fingers to wiggle it, you move your whole arm. And it's simply an optical illusion. I don't know if you can see it against my white shirt. Focus in a little bit there, bud. See if we can get it where it is looking like it is rubber. It looks like the pin is bending. Okay? Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And if you kids are bored in school this fall, a little trick you can try. While you're writing with your pen, you flip it backwards and catch it ready to write. Okay, or you can do a double if you practiced up a little bit and catch it ready to write. And the teacher will get mad at you and she'll say, "Who taught you that?" And you'll say, "I did." And she'll call me up and I'll be in trouble. Let's see. I have golf balls here. In 1969, I got saved. My older brother, Ross, was a sophomore in college, and I was a sophomore in high school. And my brother, Ross, taught me how to juggle. Since that time, I have taught 500 or 600 kids how to juggle. It is easy to learn to juggle, so I'm going to show you on video here, and you can practice this at home. If you want to learn to juggle, it's very simple. It is better with tennis balls, or bean bags are better yet, because as you begin to learn, you will drop them all the time, and you have to chase them. Bean bags don't roll very far. So that's the advantage of a bean bag. Tennis ball is a little, almost as easy. Golf balls, not too bad. Bowling balls are very difficult to learn with. Okay? Take one ball. Keep your arms about waist high, straight out like this, and palms up. I'm going to throw this ball from my fingertips up, even with the top of my head, into my other hand. When you learn to juggle, you never hand it over to the other hand. You always toss it up and over like this. Once you can do this for 5 or 6 minutes, you practice where you can make yourself throw the ball back and forth without staring right at it. All right? Just kind of look ahead with a blank stare. Some of you are very good at that. And then toss the ball back and forth. Now you're ready to teach your right hand how to make the switch. So I have 2 balls now. I'm going to throw this one. As it starts to come down, I'm going to throw this one and then catch that one that's coming down. I simply switched balls with my right hand. Then you stop. You can't go any further. Toss this one first and switch. As it comes down, to make sure they don't hit, I'm going to throw this one under the one coming down. There's a different, this is called the under-under pattern, the easiest one to learn. There's an over-over and an under-over. There's many different patterns to juggle. The under-under is the simplest. Now, I'm going to throw this one first and teach this hand how to make, we call it make the switch. Toss this, and then toss this one. When you juggle 3, you simply have 2 in one hand, 1 in the other. I'm going to throw one of these. As it starts to come down, I'm going to throw the one out of that hand. And every time a ball is coming down, you toss the one you never handed over. They cross in the middle like a letter X. The under-under pattern of juggling. Very simple, and you can learn it in 15 minutes. If you can throw a ball from one hand to the other, you can juggle. I've taught some extremely uncoordinated people how to juggle, okay? Under-under. From this pattern, you can do many, many tricks. You can the higher you go, the slower it gets, and the wilder it gets. About head high, the top of your head is about right. When you go real low, it gets much faster, and you have to be quicker. So head high is about right. If you're going to do under-over, you toss one over it as it comes down. If you're going to do over-over, you toss them both over, and it is, well, let me get it going here, much more difficult to do over-over. From this pattern, you can toss it under your leg. Same pattern, nothing changes. You just catch it and throw it under your leg, or you can toss it over your shoulder. Ooh, let me get it going here. Over your shoulder, or off your elbow. Get it from the side here. Off your elbow is very simple. If you hold the ball in your hand, above your elbow, and simply straighten your hand out real fast, but your hand comes out from under it, and automatically the ball hits your elbow and bounces up. So you can practice that one a few times, and then you can get that into the juggling act. If you're going to do just 2 in one hand, if you throw it from the middle by your belt to the outside, you can do 2 in one hand, just as easy. Your hand simply moves back and forth. You toss it and move over to catch the one that's coming down. If you want them just to go straight up and down, you can just bobble them like this. So when you're going to do 4, you simply do 2 in each hand. They never cross over to the other hand. But I alternate them so it looks a little fancier, but actually it's just 2 balls this when I speak, point out stuff on my, and mesmerize the kids. Lasers are very dangerous, boys and girls. I can actually cut this banana without cutting the skin. I'm going to shine the laser right across the banana. Ready? Down here. Down here. I just cut the banana inside without even cutting the skin on the banana. I'll prove it to you. Let's open the banana up and see what's happening inside there. Oh, so it doesn't look cut to me. Well, we shall see. Cut right in half there. Cut right in half there. Cut right in half there. Wow, how did you do that? Well, it's very simple. If you want to cut a banana without cutting the skin, you get a needle, like I just dropped here. There it is. You get a needle, you poke it through at one of the corners of the banana, one of the thick spots, poke it through the skin, and swing it back and forth. I'm cutting the banana inside without cutting the skin. All it is make one hole. And you can make as many, you can slice the whole thing if you want. And now when I open it, it will be sliced at that point where the needle did it. And you can do it with a flashlight or just with your finger. Watch this, boys and girls. Back to your finger. Cut the banana. And it falls in half on the line that you made. So that's one you can do. The kids all like that one. If you have a laser or flashlight or just your finger, anything to mesmerize them. Let's see. Where did we leave off here? Tricks you can do with forks or spoons. And we'll focus in down there on the table again. Take another glass of water here somewhere. There it is. There's something you can do at the restaurant. Parents are always excited about kids doing tricks at the restaurant at the table, embarrassing them, you know. If you have a part of a glass of water, and the restaurant happens to have toothpicks. I have one on my Swiss Army knife here. Toothpick. You take the two forks. Jam them together so they are stuck. Okay? No problem. Now, you take a toothpick, stick it through the middle someplace. Just keep it in the center there, bud. And balance it. And the forks will not fall off of my finger. Here I am balancing it. I can even do it on the edge of a glass. Balancing the forks on the edge of the glass. Oh, almost fell in there. So that's a neat one. Kids enjoy that. Do that. That's the quieter one. And the noisier one you can do at the restaurant. Take a glass, 2 spoons, make sure everything is lined up, straight line, center of the glass, center of the spoons, okay? Collinear they call that. Without my fingers leaving my hand at any time, you can tap on this spoon. Oh, missed first try. We'll try it again here. And flip it up into the glass. Kids, I would recommend you not do it with a glass. If it's a plastic glass, it's really not called a glass anymore. I don't know what you call it. It's a plastic, I guess. But you get a plastic liquid container, commonly called a glass, and you can. It went in and out. You are very observant. Okay. Not quite hard enough. Takes a little practice. And if you do it on the rug with a little grape juice, your mom will be real excited, I'm sure, as you sprinkle grape juice all over the rug. Don't do that, okay? The only reason I have the water in there so it doesn't knock the glass over, because the spoon's too heavy. But that's a simple one you can do. Okay? A couple more with a stick and we'll be done here. You get an ordinary broomstick, like this, or mop handle, or whatever you've got. With a broomstick, bring the stick all the way down. To the floor. And step out of it. And your hands are one backwards. So that's, you have to be limber for that one. Or you can do this one. Palms down, a little more than shoulder width apart. Leg in from the outside, down in through the hole, up, over, behind your head, and down behind your back. And you have the stick go all the way around you like that. But again, you have to be limber. Here's one you can try. Kids, try this. Cross your hands like this. Thumbs toward the ground. Fingers together. Toward your stomach. And up like so. Got it? Now there's a little hole between my wrists. Between my watch and my other wrist. I want you to put your head through that hole like this.
Well, I can't get it.
Got it? Very simple. Go like this, like this, like this. This elbow over this one. That's the hard part. And then over your head. The secret is, you must be limber. You have to be a contortionist. How many know what a contortionist is? A person who ties themselves up in knots. My brother is a contortionist, and he married a fortune teller, and they have a child that can foresee his own end. Is that incredible or what? You don't get it. Never mind. Okay. Let's see. If you want to balance a stick on your hand, let me show you kids a secret that'll make it much easier to do. The heavier the stick, the easier it is, believe it or not, to balance. Just watch the top of it, and as you move it around, you can actually do it on one finger. Real easy to do. You want to make it even easier, get some weights up on top. Hang a coat or something up there. Put something heavy. The longer the stick with a heavy weight, actually up to a limit, the easier it is to balance. So you can practice outside with a long stick, get some weight on there, do it on your chin. You're not staring up at a spotlight, that is. You can balance it.
Can you do it on your forehead?
Oh, forehead, nose, it doesn't matter. You're looking right up at it, so anywhere where you can see it is very simple. Okay? Balance the stick. And let's see, I do this kind of stuff with kids all the time to get a crowd together, and the purpose is get people saved. Most Sunday school classes are so boring. After the kids come a few weeks, he gets bored and doesn't come back. The dropout rate from kids whose parents don't come is extremely high. Teachers have got to learn to make class exciting, do things interesting, blow something up, tear something down, make it exciting. My science classes in school, there are still black spots on the wall from various experiments, you know. And you just got to make it neat. Field trips, things like that. Okay, we will add to this video from time to time, different ideas, magic tricks, illustrations, things we can use. But for now, Roger, I have fulfilled my duty. I've answered your letter, only 5 months late, sorry about that. And we'll make copies of this to anybody that wants it. Please use these for the, oh, and we forgot the M&M trick, didn't we? One last one. It's a goodbye trick. You take an M&M, put it on the back of your hand. And if you hit this hand coming down like this, and bring this hand up like this, you can actually get the M&M to fly into your mouth. Now, several things you need to know about this trick. Girls can do it easier because their mouth is bigger.